Welcome to the news on Zodiak with me, Joab Frank Chakaza. The headlines. ACP halts awarding of fuel contracts to 3 companies following an uproar that NOCMA flouted procedures. PAC upbeat its involvement in government backing will improve uptake of COVID-19 vaccine in the country. UNICEF calls for hefty resources towards sectors that are vital in attaining Malawi 2063 blueprint. In sports, Africa's renowned basketball team Kenya Ports Authority to visit Malawi for a series of strength testing matches. Now the news in detail. The Anti-Corruption Bureau, ACB, says it has halted the awarding of procurement of fuel contracts to 3 companies of Lake Oil, Dalbit and Camel Oil following an uproar that National Oil Company of Malawi, NOCMA, did not follow proper channels in the awarding process. ACP Director of Communications Ekrita Ndala told Zodiak they are treating investigations into the awarding of fuel contracts at NOCMA with urgency. Several rights groups, including Human Rights Defenders Coalition, HRDC, have been pressing on ACB to institute the investigations amid fears that prolonged impasse between NOCMA and MERA risks plunging the country into a deep fuel crisis. Chimwe reports.
The Anti-Corruption Bureau, ACB, has halted NOCMA's intention to award contracts to the 3 companies in order to pave way for investigations. ACB's Director of Communications, Ekrita Ndala, told Zodiak a restriction notice has been served to NOCMA following suspicion of foul play in the awarding of the contracts.
We received complaints and we are investigating those complaints. So in order for us to investigate effectively, we issue the restriction notice. Investigations by nature are dynamic, and it's difficult for us to say we are going to finish the investigation by such a date.
Human Rights Defenders Coalition, HRDC, grew frustrated in the past few days and wrote ACB to take action after revelations showed NOCMA flouted procedures in the awarding of fuel supply contracts. HRDC's chairperson, Gift Trapensi, is now pleased with ACB's decision.
We are happy that ACB has taken that action. What we want is a fair process, a process that follows the procurement procedure. We want the value for money. So we're expecting a lot from ACB, not only stopping, but as well to investigate the issue.
The investigations by ACB come amid concerns Malawi could be hit by a fuel crisis if wrangles over the procurement of fuel between NOCMA and MERA are not urgently resolved. For Zodiac, this is Chimwemwe Badata.
A quasi-religious grouping Public Affairs Committee PAC is upbeat that through its involvement and government backing would turn tables on the low uptake of COVID-19 vaccines in the country. PAC chairperson Monsignor Patrick Tawale said this after meeting President Lazarus Chakwera at Sanjika Palace in Blantyre Wednesday, where they formalized PAC's role in sensitizing citizens on the vaccines. Less than 400,000 people in the country have so far been vaccinated, a population health experts say is worrisome in the fight against the pandemic. Alex Banda reports.
Are already somewhat addressed by...
The Public Affairs Committee, PAC, has met President Lazarus Chakwera to commit its efforts on sensitizing and advocating for the COVID-19 vaccine amidst the low uptake. PAC chairperson Monsignor Patrick Tawale says together with stakeholders supported by the United Nations, the quasi-religious body will turn tables around.
You and I know that there are some religious groupings that preach that this COVID-19 thing is something that was created, and they feel like, let's just pray to God. But you know, if I could be realistic, God helps those who help themselves first. But also another way of putting it is that we do our part, because God created us with a lot of intelligence, a lot of strength, and also capabilities.
Because I used to be part of it.
President Chakwera underscored the need for different players coming together to speak with one voice on the vaccine and the imminent danger of a COVID-19 third wave.
Malawi journeying in ending child marriage.
UN and UNICEF representative Matteo Frontini has observed this engagement was crucial as communities need to be targeted with renewed efforts and positive messages amid widespread disinformation.
The synergies have been there, but the more formal they are, the better impact we have. And right now, we are actually looking into empowering communities.
Out of the targeted 11 million doses of the vaccine to achieve herd immunity, less than 400,000 have so far been administered. For Zodiak in Blantyre, this is Alex Banda.
The United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, has called for hefty resources towards sectors that are vital in the realization of the Malawi 2063 blueprint. UNICEF country representative Rudolf Schwenk extended the plea Wednesday in Lilongwe during an engagement with the Parliamentary Budget Committee. The meeting was part of a series of engagements on proposed allocations in the 2021-2022 national budget. Second Deputy Speaker of Parliament Aisha Adams and Parliamentary Committee on Budget and Finance Chair Gladys Ganda admitted resources allocated in the budget are not enough to cater for all needs. Chris Combe with details.
For the past 2 weeks, cluster committees of Parliament have held a series of meetings with both state actors and non-state actors to get their input on the 2021-2022 national budget allocation pegged at 1.9 trillion kwacha. UNICEF country representative Rudolf Schwenk holds the view that while the resources are not enough to adequately fund all national activities, government should prioritize sectors that are directly involved in the development of people for the country to attain its Malawi 2063 goals.
As the UN Organization for Children, I am of course very interested in issues that relate to young people, to children. So we have presented also from UNICEF side on the trends in investments in education, in health, which make up the bulk of the social sector spending, around 25%, but it's still below the international proposed thresholds. So it is good, but it's not good enough. And then there are sectors like child protection, where investments are very, very little actually, 44 kwacha per child per year. So it's how much can you do with that funding?
Second Deputy Speaker of Parliament Aisha Adams described the meetings that have been conducted as crucial, saying they provide direction to Parliament on areas to be looked into before the national budget is approved.
After hearing from the civil societies and the departments, the members of Parliament will take those views into the chamber, and where the agencies say we need this vote to be increased, we are very optimistic that the Minister of Finance and the line ministries will be able to do that, because those will represent the views of the people.
Parliamentary Committee on Budget and Finance Chairperson Gladys Ganda acknowledged that some areas in the budget need to be looked into, saying most actors feel the proposals are unrealistic. Deliberating on the topic, the forgotten bits, what is society most vulnerable, in the 2021-2022 budget proposal, NGO Coalition for Child Rights representative Desmond Numa employed members of Parliament to improve allocations that go towards social protection programs such as child protection. Members of Parliament will resume deliberations next week Monday on the 2021-2022 national budget. This is Grace Combe for Zodiac.
Meanwhile, a parliamentary cluster which is scrutinizing budgetary allocations for agriculture, climate change and natural resources has told the Minister of Agriculture to remove the National Food Reserve Agency NFRA from this year's maize procurement exercise, saying only ADMAC can assist in as far as reaching out to smallholder farmers is concerned. Co-chairperson for the cluster, Samir Suleiman, said the legislators also want government to release a total of 80 billion kwacha, which ADMAC is looking for to effectively buy farm produce this year. Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Erika Maganga, said the ministry will put this into consideration. Now let's stay with Parliament issues. Members of Parliament have threatened to put on hold passing of the 2021-2022 national budget if provision for contesting members of parliament to produce tax certificate provision is not scrapped off as part of new tax measures. This was voiced out during cluster committee meetings of Budget and Finance and Public Accounts, where legislators expressed discomfort with the law, arguing it is prone to abuse by political opponents. But MRA Commissioner General John Biswick has defended the provision, saying it is only aimed at ensuring elected leaders comply with tax remittance, just like any other individual. And Riviano has filed a report.
Barely a week after members of parliament from the Budget and Finance and Public Accounts cluster committees quizzed the Secretary to Treasury on introduction of tax certificates on individuals vying for elected positions, the issue resurfaced again on Tuesday. This time around, members of the committee took turns expressing their discomfort with the arrangement to Malawi Revenue Authority, arguing it is prone to abuse. But MRA Commissioner General John Biswick says it is only aimed at ensuring that lawmakers are also tax compliant.
It's a normal requirement for those that are only employees. The employers are able to provide that at individual level. For those in business, most businesses in any case these days, especially government business, you need a tax clearance certificate before you supply to government. So what we are saying is just submit that. And in any case, who wouldn't want their lawmakers to be tax compliant? I think all of us should be proud that you are contributing to the development of this country by contributing to the taxes that are due to be paid.
Meanwhile, tax expert Kelvin Impande has thrown his weight behind the introduction of production of tax certificates, saying it will enhance remittance, which will in turn increase revenues.
Many people, MPs, councillors, they come without any tax issues, So to say they need to have certificate, I mean that they are bringing many people in the tax net. At the end of the day, they end up collecting more because if we say 193 MPs, all they are created in terms of taxes, I mean to say government is collecting more. It's going to collect more.
Malawi Revenue Authority has surpassed its target by 8% after collecting 1.086 trillion kwacha against a projection of 1.079 trillion kwacha following enhanced measures at the border.
You're watching the news here on Zodiak. We'll be back with more after this.
Kungonjezera mayunits ATNM kuyambira 200 kwacha kapena kuposera pamenepo mutha kukhala mmodzi mwa mamilioneya mu TNM Tikolole promotion. Koma mukaonjezera mayunits ndi 100 kwacha kapena kuposerapo mudzilandira mabonus oyimbira foni, SMS kapena data pompo.
TNM, always with you.
Sompenya amalawi watukula malawi 2063 ufika 2063 akale wokomera aliyense achinyamata tikwira ne manja tukula malawi achinyamata tikale patsogolo tukula malawi malawi wozimira paeka malawi wokomera aliyense Malawi 2063 kusintha dziko lathu mokomera aliyense.
Welcome back. Here are the top stories once again. ACP halts awarding of contracts of fuel to 3 companies following an uproar that NOCMA flouted procedures. PAC upbeat its involvement in government backing will improve uptake of COVID-19 vaccines in the country. UNICEF calls for hefty resources towards sectors that are vital in attaining Malawi 2063 blueprint. In sports, Africa's renowned basketball team, Kenyan Ports Authority, to visit Malawi for a series of strength testing matches. Now, moving on with the news, educationists say unless Africa embraces science, technology and innovation, the continent cannot make meaningful strides in the education sector. The education from different countries such as South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana and Malawi made the observation Wednesday at the start of a 3-day consultative meeting on enhancing the domestication of science, technology and innovations underway in Lilongwe. Minister of Education Agnes Nyalonje says they will soon embark on a routine exercise reviewing and conducting a needs assessment in the sector on Malawi performance in science, technology and innovations. Chimwe Mbadata reports.
One of the participants at the 3-day meeting, Dr. Justina Dubaza, a Ghanaian who is also African Union Development Agency acting coordinator for AU's emerging technologies, called for a paradigm shift among African countries to stop relying on resource exports but rather start depending on knowledge exports. She believes if science, technology and innovation is embraced, Africans could start cushioning their economies by exporting their expertise to other countries.
It's not only on resources but also the knowledge that they have, the expertise that they have, and this is what underpins developments to have a very balanced socio-economic development and inclusive growth. When you look at Africa, on the other hand, we are lagging behind when you look at science, technology and innovation, as well as our industries.
Calls for the adoption of science, technology and innovation prompted Minister of Education Agnes Nyalonje to commit that her ministry will commence a needs assessment on Malawi's performance in the adoption of innovations.
That is already starting, because you may recall that not too long ago we launched the Malawi Academy of Sciences. It is through that initiative that work has already commenced. When it comes to science, technology and innovation, you need to know what you have on the ground. What are you doing? What are you doing well? Where do you have gaps? And what more do you need to do?
The meeting is part of a series of engagements on Africa's 2063 agenda that various countries, Malawi inclusive, envision to advance development by year 2063. For Zodiak, this is Chimwemwe Badata.
In business news, the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, has been described as an opportunity for the country to diversify its exports and shift from relying on tobacco as the country's major foreign exchange earner. In this agreement, African countries have come together to create a single continent-wide market for goods and services and to promote the movement of capital and natural persons. Malawi ratified the trade protocol in November last year and will roll out on July 1st this year, and according to Director of Trade in the Ministry of Trade, Clement Kumbemba, this gives a chance for Malawi to have access to a bigger market on the continent. Let us appear with the details.
Speaking during the second validation workshop of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, in Lilongwe on Wednesday, Director of Trade in the Ministry of Trade, Clement Kumbemba, emphasized that access to market being crucial to any trade, the new protocol offers Malawians a chance to have an access of over 1.2 billion people from the continent.
Issues of power, not long from now, we believe from government that we'll probably be looking for demand, not long from now, because the supply will be there for energy. And again, talking about the reliable water supply, I think also looking at the developments that are there, the mega energy water projects that are there in all our water boards. I think water again, not long from now, not even a year, we should be having more water.
And Baranai Clemens Chikwene, who is Program Management Officer for the African Trade Policy Center, says the agreement is key for diversification for Malawi.
In line with the national strategy to diversify, this is what I think strategically the CFTA offers to Malawi. The director spoke about the soya value chain. Instead of thinking of just producing the soya and exporting. Why don't we have a strategy over 10, 15 years to end up eventually importing soya into Malawi and exporting crude oil, vegetable oil, and other byproducts that come with processing soya? So I see at a strategic level the AFCFTA as an instrument for diversifying the Malawian economy from tobacco.
But how ready is the private sector to embrace this new agreement? Robert Nazitwere is operations manager for AHL Commodities Exchange.
On behalf of the private sector, I would say that we are ready to implement this strategy. As you know, Malawi is already part of other protocols such as SADC, COMESA, which it joined previously. However, we as private sector were concerned because most of the times the private sector were not consulted thoroughly. Unlike in this roadmap, we have been consulted from the word go, and therefore, as the director and deputy director has highlighted, we have had our input going into the strategy, such that we are confident that with the measures that we have proposed to government to be included, they should help the private sector to thrive and take care of the opportunities that will arise from this market.
So far, 36 African countries have ratified the AFCFTA. For Zodiak, this is Madalito Piri reporting.
The Malawi Revenue Authority, MRA, has surpassed its revenue targets for the year, the first time for such a feat in 5 years. MRA Commissioner General John Biswick, who was speaking when he appeared before Budget and Finance Cluster of Parliaments, said the body expects to collect 1,086 billion kwacha against a projection of 1,079 billion. In the 2021-2022 budget, MRA has been given a target of 1.03 trillion kwacha, which is 28% higher than this year. Andrew Viano will give us a report in our subsequent bulletins. Now, the NGO Gender Coordination Network says it has engaged some district councils in the country on child protection laws to ensure efforts to eradicate gender-based violence are to be effective. Civil Liberties Community Programs Officer Felix Chigalira observes that there are gaps in the implementation of some programs, hence the need to keep on reminding technocrats on child protection laws. Officials from Nchisi District Council have also been oriented on the same. Details with Gift Dupimba.
According to the NGO Gender Coordination Network, technocrats working on ending